What's up there, pond prowler people? Coming to you from Southern California once again to show you this. I'd like to give somebody credit for asking me to show you this, but it would take me about a half an hour to go through all the subscribers, non-subscribers, people that have demanded to see this. Of all the things on my boat, it seems like it seems to be the most important to people, is how to fix this really annoying flex in the front transom. All this is supposed to ever hold is, a trolling motor. So does it really matter? Not really. I think they've designed this to handle whatever you're gonna... Hold on just 1 minute. My studio lights just turned off. And I'm back. Okay, so do you really need to fix the flex in this? Not really. I've put everything from I actually had a 17-pound thrust. It was from back in, I don't know, the 90s. Somebody made a 17-pound thrust, and obviously it doesn't do anything on this, doesn't flex a whole lot. But I've had an 80-pound Newport Vessels. There was a 86-pound or something like that. Man, it took 2 batteries. It was just obnoxious and completely useless for reasons you guys have probably already figured out, that it doesn't matter how many pounds of thrust you have on here. On this boat, it's going to go the same speed. So I currently have a 30-pound thrust, and it gets me just as fast as the 80-pound did with one less battery. So I digress. Here is my fix. It's only one of probably 20 other ideas that could be out there. But this one seemed to work and not be super complicated, and not have a whole lot of weight to it, or different appendages hanging off the boat, to brace it back here. I may do that in the future, just, I don't know, if anything, just for content or just for the hell of it, to have something to do. But there is probably a little bit more I can get out of this and have it flex even less. But for now, this works really well. It takes a lot of flex and makes it very little flex. So I'm going to go through with you what I did, the parts that were involved, and then you take it from there. You do your own thing, but at least it gives you an idea of the geometry or the physics of what I did and how much it limits the movement. And then at that point, you can make this better. You can take from it and not make it as elaborate, or just completely redesign it all together. I actually don't care. I just want to get this out there and say, this is how I did it. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to give you a quick tour of what I did and just go from there, and let you guys be your own designers from that point. To start you all off, this piece of mahogany. Why do I use mahogany? Because it's water resistant. It'll just turn gray and all sorts of weird colors, and the salt water won't affect it. So what this is, it's a 1x4. So it's, technically about 3/4 of an inch thick by about 3.5 inches tall. I had to, for me to make this work and to fit into these little grooves, I should probably have some better lighting here, but I don't. You guys know the groove I'm talking about. Why they put that there, I don't know. Maybe for strength, but obviously it didn't do a whole lot. But I cut the piece of wood so it fit into that little box here. And then all in all, when I was all done, to fit it in there, I had to shave just a little bit off the top to have that be perfectly flush when the trolling motor is sitting on there. So what I did is I took that, and then eye bolts, stainless steel. Darn it, I don't have the length, but they were, I believe, 4 inches long, and they stuck out a little bit. So later on I'm going to tell you that how I dealt with that. But these bolts are 5/16 eye bolts, and what they are, the actual eye part is the size of a quarter. So I know this is kind of ghetto instructions here. Go to the hardware store, put a quarter in there. That's the size eye bolts that I use. And then I used, these are I believe the actual shank is 5/16. So I used a washer here to give it some backing against the the wood, so this eye bolt just didn't dig into the wood. And I did that obviously on both sides. And look at that over here. The hole is the size of a quarter. So figure that out. And then I drilled through all the way. And what's on the back is 3 pieces of 1/8 inch thick by 2 inches aluminum plate or bar. It's the same thing that I used to back, if you watch the other video with me putting the Transom flex fix back there, it's the same material. It's 2 inches by 1/8 of an inch thick, and then it comes in like 3 foot, 4 foot lengths. But what I did is I took three layers of it. The first layer is what I used to clamp all this together. That's the first layer. So I drilled through the wood, through the transom, through the first layer, and then as you can see, I cut a much bigger hole to give room for the nut later on so I could put these spacer plates on. These spacer plates are needed in my design because the clamps on the trolling motors would hit the bolts. You can go wider, but the wood doesn't go very far. It literally stops right there, and so that makes it to where when that bolt goes through, there's not a whole lot of room left on the end of that piece of wood to really clamp this down good. So I went a little narrower and then just compensated with two extra layers on top here to come past the head of this nut here, so when I clamped the trolling motor down, it wouldn't hit them, so it wouldn't be off. That being said, I clamped those together. Once I was done clamping those together, I used marine goop to put these other 2 layers on after I drilled the holes in the right spot, so it would just go right on top. That's it. I just glued them on. I used clamps to keep it on there for a few days, let it cure, and then like I said, that these 2 top plates are just for spacing, just to make this smooth. Now, that being said, I haven't had a problem with the trolling motor wanting to pop off, but Pond Prowler, or whoever makes the Pond Prowler, Communist China or whomever, they put a little lip here. By doing this, you lose the lip. I clamp my trolling motor down really hard, it doesn't move, so I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a lawyer tab or whatever, or dummy tab, like, oh, you forgot to tighten your trolling motor, well, this dummy tab here will save your ass and catch the clamp, hopefully. But you do lose that when you do that. So that's the top part of my design. The real trick to making this really come together and stiffening it up is down below. You'll see the Pond Prowler comes with 2 handy dandy little holes, or little dimples here. What I did here is I put 3-inch long by 5/16. Yes, they're 5/16, not 3/8. I know I've made that mistake before. But there, you'll see, look under here. This is the little handhold here. Under here, there's two little perfect dimples. Can you see them? No, because I put bolts in the way. But drill up, put a pilot hole with your drill. That goes up through here. It goes up into this plywood that's right here. And it goes up about that far. You could actually use, 4 or 5 inch screws, but I felt that 3-inch screws was enough to get into the meat of the wood, because it does come down to about here. So, stainless steel, of course. Well, I guess you could use anything if you're freshwater, but I use stainless steel, and these have been down here for quite a while. And as you can see, there's, well, no rust to speak of. And then drill those 2 pilot holes, and then drive those up into there, and then clamp them down real good. And what that does is that keeps this from going back and forth down here. Because just like the rear transom, this wood does this. It's just flopping around in there. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not supposed to hold a whole lot of weight, and they tell you just use a trolling motor up here and, a 3.5 outboard back there, but their design back there was not even good for a 3.5. So up here, the design is just as, well, I don't know, somebody designed it. So those screws that are right in here keep the bottom of the wood from going back and forth this way. So it gives it something. Now you can also, I just thought of this. You could also do something here if you wanted to drive some screws that way as well. That might help, but for now, I just figured that even though they were, designing this boat, somehow there was a reason they put those little dimples there, those little buttonholes that were just, they were just begging for a hole to be drilled into them. But I guess you could do that and combine. So all that combined together really makes this stiff. Does it move? It still moves, but man, barely. So hold on just a second. I'll actually show you how much it moves, but it makes a 90% difference. So stand by. All right, everybody. So here is my trolling motor mounted. It's an Endura, an old Endura. This works perfectly for me. I don't know, I guess if I get enough viewers saying, buy the auto boat, man, that would really be cool. There's some guys out there that got it sent to them for free. I don't have that kind of subscribership to have them sending me free stuff. But, if I get enough people saying, hey, put the auto boat on your boat and see how you review it, then, I'll spend the $600 or $700 and get it. But this is what I have. I have an Endura 30, very old, early 2000s. And obviously it's held up just fine. But as you can see how the clamps, they were gonna hit the bolts. If you do it this way, tighten your shit down, but don't be stupid and lose your trolling motor and then call me and blame me. The reason I did this spacer is because when I put this trolling motor down, it always liked to hit that rubber thing here, and then they had that little cover here that hit that, and it wouldn't go down into the final perpendicular latch. So I got rid of that spacer because it's useless, and then I spaced this out. It made it to where I didn't have to worry about it anyway, and it gave it a lot of space to flex if need be. So that is what it looks like. I'm trying my best. I mean, it flexes a little bit, but way less than it did. Now, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna put something here, because all the flex you get is right in here. It's actually, I don't even think you can see that, but all the flex you get when you're flexing it is this, like, moving up and down. So I imagine, I don't know, put a piece of wood here, piece of plastic, something to rigid that up, and that would eliminate this thing bowing and doing this. Or, you know what you guys could do? Make a video of it. Send it to me. Start your own YouTube channel. I don't care. That'd be cool though if you did. Put a little bracket here. Run it down from here to here. And like all the way down this plastic to where it just like went up. That would probably completely eliminate that forward flex. You guys could do it way better than I did. So, pond prowler people, that's what I got. I didn't show you how to do it, but like I've said before, if you got brains, figure it out. You got some eye bolts, piece of wood, some washers, some spacers. Learn how to use a saw if you don't know how to use a saw. If you have suggestions, you know, comments, things like that, let me know. Keep the comments cool. I've got people bashing me over stuff that means nothing. First world problems. So, you know, if you got comments on this, cool. I won't delete any comment that is just a critique, a criticism, or even a praise, obviously, that's done in good taste. And the best I can say is don't be a dick. And then I'll listen to what you have to say. And other than that, stay tuned for the next video. The next video I got coming, it is an unboxing of a pretty cool gadget that really expands the storage on this little boat. So stay tuned for that. And I hope this helped a lot of people that were asking about it. It also gave me a place to tie on a tow rope or something like that on these eyes here. That's why I put the eyes on there. And also, I'm probably going to design something that's a tie down on the trailer to make it to where I'm not wrapping my strap around and just using these janky cleats that they put on the pond prowler. I'll probably make something that hooks to these eye bolts and make a dual use out of this transom mount flex adapter thing, mabob. All right, pond prowler people, I'm out. Stay tuned for the next video. I will get back to making videos pretty regularly now. Had some family problems. If you guys have even tuned in this long, that means that you care about my channel. I had some family issues I had to go take care of, so I've been pretty occupied for about a month. I'm back in town. I'm gonna do some videos and start getting caught up and go fishing a little bit and start doing stuff on the Prowler. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next video.